Hello, Switch 3. I made this quick video because we didn't get through examples 2 and 3 yesterday. They're actually pretty simple, but I wanted to make sure that you had these before you could go on to do the work that the rest of the group is doing. So, for examples 2 and 3, follow along. Please add these to your notes after you have, after your homework, or however, just continue it from your key ideas from yesterday. Example 2 is about drawing solids. So you're just going to follow these examples, or these steps that I give you, and then from there, that should help you draw these a little bit easier. So we learned about prisms, we learned about pyramids yesterday. So I'm going to teach you how to draw a prism and teach you how to draw a pyramid. So here we go, follow along. Our directions say to draw a rectangular prism. So step 1 is going to be draw identical rectangular bases. If you remember from what the definition of a prism is, it's that both bases, doesn't matter what kind of base they are, but they're both they're both parallel and they're both identical. So I'm going to draw just a rectangle, make it about the same distance, so they should be relatively the same. And then the next thing I'm going to do is connect the corresponding vertices. So part 2, or step 2, is connect corresponding vertices. And what I mean by that is, so I'm going to start up in the top left corner, and I'm going to bring it down to the top left corner of the other one. Bottom left to bottom left. Top right to top right. Bottom right to bottom right. And then my step 3, and my final one, is to change any, sorry, I'm trying to write fast because I can't stop recording when I do erasing. You'll see in a second. Change any hidden lines to dashed lines. So what I'm going to do with my eraser tool on here, but you're going to actually erase it with your pencil, but I'm going to erase these back lines here because these are technically the lines that you can't see. Okay? So these back lines will become dotted. What I mean by that is if you actually had that in front of you, that shape, you wouldn't be able to actually see what's happening behind. That's why they're dotted lines. And I am also, just to write this down, if you're a little confused by my drawing, please look on this page, page 357. That's where I'm finding it from. So again, these are the steps when you're drawing a prism. That's important that you know this is a prism. Identical rectangular bases, if this is a rectangular prism. Connect the corresponding vertices, change any hidden lines to dashed lines. The second example, not from example 2, but is the second one's drawing a pyramid. So we're going to draw a triangular pyramid. So I'm going to write out the steps first, and then we'll do the steps as we go. So we're going to draw a triangular base and a point. Step 2, connect the vertices of the triangle to the point. Step 3, change any hidden lines to dashed lines. So again, looking back at what the directions say, draw a triangular base and a point. So just do the best you can. I don't have any lines to go on because I'm writing on the iPad. So I drew a triangular base, which is down here, and then I drew my point like it told me to. So your point, and it depends. I mean, you could have your whole shape completely, flipped the other way, but for this situation, just to learn how to do it, this is how we're going to do it. Then you're going to connect the vertices of the triangle to the point. So very carefully, wow, that was bad. I'll try that over again. This is not very easy on the iPad. You're just going to draw your lines from your vertices. So your figure should look like this. Then you're going to change any hidden lines to dashed lines. So you're going to take your eraser. These are all hidden lines. I can't do that. So I'm going to, sorry, my iPad won't let me. These would be dashed lines here. Again, look at the book picture. It makes a little bit more sense. I can't erase on the iPad, unfortunately, because I stopped it. So that's what we should look like. So draw a triangular base, with a point, connect the vertices. These would be dashed, and then I would end up not having these because those would be hidden too. Okay, and that would be what our pyramid looks like. And the last example is example 3, views of a solid. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw the front, side, and top views of an eraser. So like when if you look in the book on page 357, they show a pink eraser, just like a big one that you would have to use for your work. Alright, so if I have a picture of an eraser, I'm going to actually do and draw what it looks like. So like I just showed you in that video, this is the front view. Our side view looked like a parallelogram. The top view looked like a much larger rectangle. So hopefully that video, I think we can play that, or you can click play on it and you can see what I'm talking about with the eraser. I'm going to have you do a few practice problems from page 357. They're the on your own. They're numbers, you're going to do 2 through 5. Now, I'm going to have you do them, and I'm going to give you, I'm going to take a picture of what the answers look like. Take a second to pause the video before you go and look at what the answers are, because you're only helping yourself by doing it that way instead of trying to figure out what your answers are right away and just saying, okay, I'm moving on. Because they are a little bit more difficult, especially when you're talking about a top view of when you're doing numbers 4 and 5. You draw the front, side, and top views of a solid. It's got to be right. I mean, you gotta visualize what it would look like. So I'm going to give you answers. And then also for numbers 2 and 3, you're drawing the solid. If it tells you it's a square prism and a pentagonal pyramid, you got to know how many sides a square has. You need to know how many sides a pentagon has in order to do these. So I think that you'll be fine, but take some time to actually do them before you actually look at my answers. Okay, here are the answers for numbers 2 and 3. I'll make it a little bit bigger. I might draw in a little bit. You know, this one is a square prism because it's got 2 squares that are parallel. You connect the vertices. Okay. And that ends up being a square prism. Okay. Yours might look a little bit different, but it can't be too far off. Remember, the lateral faces are parallelograms. And then looking at our pentagonal pyramid, you have to draw out a pentagon, like the directions showed you. Then you would draw your point above, and then you would meet all vertices with your lines. Okay. Then you would erase your dotted in the back. So that's exactly what you would have to do for drawing a solid. And then here are the answers for number 4 and 5. So you had to draw the front, side, and top views of the solid, and they gave you a triangular prism for number 4. So our front, whoops, get my pencil back. Our front was just the triangle. Remember, there's 2 of them that made up your bases. The side just looked like a square, and here's the tricky part. If you were to look down at that, you would see your line. This would be 3-dimensional, but when you're looking down at it, it looks 2-dimensional. That's why there's 2 or one large rectangle that's split down the middle from the triangle top. Number 5, your 2 sides would look just, or your front and your side would be the same because it's a pyramid. But your top, if you're looking down on it, would look like a small square, but you would see where it crisscrossed from. This would actually be the triangle right there, and so on. Alright, so that completes that. After you've done your practice problems, you can move on with the next part of the lesson. See you tomorrow.